Hey there, Nicholas Moy here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to build a weather assistant that's an AI agent using n8n. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So before we go into how to build this out, I'm going to show you a quick demo on how this thing works. So right here in the chat box in the bottom left-hand corner, I'll say, what is the capital of Washington State? Okay, so came back with Olympia, and then we're going to follow it up with what is the weather there? Now it's going to go ahead and look for that information. And it returns back with today's weather in Olympia, Washington is cloudy with an overcast skies. The temperature is around 67 degrees Fahrenheit, humidity is 21%, and there's a gentle wind blowing at 10 miles per hour. Enjoy your day, right? So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do this. Now, it's a very simple thing. It does require two different workflows that are working in tandem in order to produce this. Now, what we can do with this is pretty cool because once you have something like this built out, you can actually send this information over to a chat system, maybe send it in a Slack message or an email, something like that, right? You can do a lot with this at the end, but this is the first part of whatever that tool, you would want it to be. But this is kind of like the engine, the core engine of how that's going to work. So let's go ahead and begin working on the back end of this thing. Okay, so I'm logged into my n8n instance. Here's a overview of all my workflows. Let me go over to personal, labs, AI weather projects. Okay, so I'll show you a quick demo or a little bit of like a high level overview of the backend. So this is that second workflow that's going to connect to the first workflow I showed you. That's the front end of it. That's the actual agent side. But this part right here is the thing that's going to be collecting all the information for the weather component, because weather data, it's a little bit different. It's live, it's dynamic. So we're going to use a OpenWeatherMap API, which you can get for free. I'll show you guys how to do that. But we need to get that information so that it's persistent, it's dynamic, it's current, and we can feed that in to our other workflow that I showed you right here, where the AI agent will then parse that. It'll formulate that information in a special message like this, something that's friendly, and send that back to us. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin building this thing out on the back end. So let me go ahead and go over here. I'll say create workflow. We're going to name our workflow. We'll say example. You don't have to name it like this, but I'm just naming it so I don't get distracted. Weather get weather. Okay. All right. So inside of here, we're going to say when executed by another workflow. So this trigger is important because this is going to be called by the front end workflow I showed you. So over here, this workflow that we're building will get called by this agent when it's looking for the weather information. So we're going to go ahead and set this up. Now I kept it on accept all data so that we can do some testing with it. Then the next thing that we're going to do is say set fields or edit fields. And then within here, we're going to do just put like some sample data. So city, and then here we can put Denver just to kind of give it like an example of the type of field that we'll be putting in there. Next thing that we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and set up the Open Weather Map. Now this thing, I'm going to say here, return current weather data. Now this is going to require that we have an API key to authenticate. Now it's free to set up. I'll go ahead and show you guys. So if we go to OpenWeatherMap, this is what it looks like. They have a free API. All you have to do is set up an account. It says 1,000 free API calls every day, right? Now, you do have to create an account. It's very easy to do that. all you need to do is, you email and password, and then you're going to have to verify your account. Now, the verification process takes a few minutes. It took me about 5 to 10 minutes before it was fully verified, before I can access the API key. So go ahead and do that. Wait a few minutes, grab a cup of coffee, and then come back, because then you can log in and access your API key. So here's what it's going to look like. You're just going to take this, you're going to copy that, and then you're going to go over into the OpenWeatherMap account, and then you're just going to paste it within there, okay? And then you save it. Now, if it's not working after a few minutes, then just make sure that you pasted it correctly. The API needs to be activated because the account needs to be verified. So once all that's done, everything will work just fine. All right, so we're going to go ahead and set that up. Now, the other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to leave it as current weather. Okay, now I switched it to imperial because I'm here in the United States. This will allow me to get Fahrenheit, miles, and hours, that type of data, not meters and Celsius and all that stuff. City name, we're going to leave that as is. Now, Berlin, for the city, we're going to actually put a variable in there for that. So let me go ahead and execute this. Let's see if this works. This works. Okay, so now we have some sample data. Now for within the city, I'm going to grab this variable and I'm going to drag that within there, so we get kind of like a ever-changing variable that we can insert in here, right? And that this will end up getting filled by the other workflow that we're going to build here in a few minutes that will populate this. So when we ask for the capital of Hawaii, or we ask for, hey, what's the weather like in Chicago, it will populate that with whatever we're actually searching for. It's smart enough to do that, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and execute that just to make sure it works. If we see the green check mark, that's a good sign. So here we have our coordinates, our weather, says clouds, overcast clouds, temperature. So we got all this good information. Great, that is what we need. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in a OpenAI agent here. They give you a lot of options down here to kind of choose from. We're going to select message a model. Move my little head down there. And within here, we're going to populate some information. Okay, so within the model, we're going to go ahead and select 4.1. I'll just scroll down because this can take a while to show sometimes. Okay, for GPT 4.1 mini. Oh, by the way, if you do not have OpenAI accounts created already, you need to set this up. This is different. Let me just go ahead and show you OpenAI. So this right here is the consumer grade API. This is the one that you can download on your phone. You can download it on your computer. And it's just like a chat system that you're going to pay $20 a month for, right? If I go to... where is it? Subscriptions. OpenAI subscription. Yeah, your chat GPT pricing. Okay. So yeah, you see it's like you got your free version. Oh, sorry, that's business. You got your, for personal, you got your free version, which gives you short limited amounts. And then you got your $20 a month. This is what I would consider the consumer side of things, where you're just paying a flat monthly fee and you can, paste some information. It can generate an image for you, whatever. Very basic stuff. This is not what we're talking about. What we're talking about for n8n is OpenAI platform. Okay, and this is going to give you the ability to access an API key. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole process of doing this in this video because it'll take too long and I don't want to expose any sensitive keys. But what you're going to do is you're going to sign up, you're going to put your credit card information in there, and then it's going to give you the API key so that you can grab that, and then you can paste that inside of here when you are setting up your account. Okay, so here you would paste your key. That's basically it. You just hit save and then you're done. Okay, so given you have all that already set up, which isn't, it takes a few minutes to do it. It's not like it's a long time, but once you have that all set up, then you can get this thing to go ahead and start working. Okay, so here we are. Here you are, you have gotten your API set up for OpenAI and for the weather app. Now it comes time for us to set up a prompt. Okay, so from within here, we're gonna say put the parameters below into a single query field. Ensure it is a string. Okay, and then here we're gonna put weather description. And then I'm gonna drag this down from there. So we have the variable. Next, we're gonna put temp. Then we're gonna grab the temp variable. Next is humidity. Drag that in there. Wind. We'll put the wind speed. Okay, so that is done. All right, simplify output. So then we're gonna go ahead and test this out real quick. Okay, this looks good. Okay, that looks good. All right, now the next thing that we're gonna do is another OpenAI message model. We're gonna do another 4.1 mini. 4.1 mini is one of the cheaper options, by the way. That's why I choose it. It's cheap and quick. Okay, so now that's there. We're gonna say convert the content field into simple English in a friendly tone. Use emojis to describe the weather. Okay, we'll put that as a system prompt. And then next we'll add another prompt and we will say message content, simplify output. Okay. Yep, we're all done here. Okay, let's go ahead and execute the step. Okay, so here it says, let me see if I can zoom in here. Hey, the weather is cloudy with a temperature of about 67 degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty dry with 21% humidity, and there's a gentle wind blowing at 10 miles per hour. Perfect day to enjoy some fresh air with emojis. Gives you a smiley face, right? So that's kind of where, first off, the tone of the text is coming from the fact that we put friendly tone, right? If I put something like Spartan tone, we'll notice the difference. Very direct. The sky is cloudy with an emoji. Temperature is 67 degrees Fahrenheit, period. Humidity is low at 21%, period. Wind is 10% or 10 miles per hour with an emoji, right? So you don't get all the friendly vibes coming from that like you would if we put friendly. And there's certain resources online that can help you with prompting or prompt engineering to help pull the type of responses that you want from the AI agents and chat systems, right? To kind of get what you're looking for. All right, so there we have that. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is add another edit fields. Here, we're going to keep it on manual mapping. We'll go ahead and drag content over here. And here we will say response, execute that step. And what it's done is it pulled the message from the last node. So this message model, this one right here, the sky is full of clouds, blah, blah, blah. If we go here, the sky is full of clouds. And what it's done is it's made that into the value for the key response or the word response, okay? So let's go ahead and save this real quick. And we're gonna go ahead and build our example agents. Example weather agent. Okay, so in here, we're gonna set up a different type of trigger. So we're gonna say, this is gonna be on chat message. Okay, we'll leave that as is. And then we're going to build a AI agent. Okay, we'll set that up here in a little bit. Now for the chat model, again, we're going to select OpenAI chat model, ChatGPT 4 mini, 4.1 mini. Memory, we're going to put simple memory. We'll keep the context window of 5. What that means is that the AI is going to remember the last 5 messages that you sent it within the context. So any questions, any instructions, anything like that you might have given it, it's going to remember the last 5 messages and it's going to use that to influence any future responses that it produces. So keeps it within the context of the conversation, up to 5 last messages. You can always expand that. I think it slows it down, and I think it can cost a little bit more, but we'll just keep it on 5 for now. That's totally fine. Okay, under the tools section, we're going to put Wikipedia. This just gives it access to the Open API and Wikipedia, so it can search things like what's the capital of the state or whatever. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to select what is this? Call another n8n workflow. So this is going to be the other tool. We'll say this is get weather. And within here, we're going to say, call this tool to access the weather information. And then this is pretty cool here. So down here under workflow, it gives you the option to either select from an active list or by an ID of a workflow that you want to pull the information from. So the fact that we get to drop it down from a list is really nice, because here I can just search for example get weather, which is the one that we literally just built. And what's going to happen is whenever we're chatting with this agent and we're like, hey, what's the weather for this location? It's going to go ahead and start pulling on that tool we just built right here and search for the data that's produced inside of here, inside of this workflow that we literally just built. Okay. So let's go ahead and save it and let's try chatting with it. Let's give it a run. Hey there. What is the capital of South Carolina? Okay, the capital of South Carolina is Columbia, and it gives you some more information. This information is being pulled from the Wikipedia tool that we just put there. Now I can say, great, what is the weather like? Notice I didn't say, what is the weather like in Columbia, South Carolina? I said, what is the weather like? Now, it's given me a response because within the context of the last 5 messages, right? The last message I asked it was regarding South Carolina and what's the capital. It remembered that. And so it's able to search for these weather data that we were looking for and give me a response because it's within the last 5 messages in that context, and we have all the tools connected, all the APIs connected for the weather API, right? So here's the response. The weather in Columbia, South Carolina is mostly cloudy with a temperature of about 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is low at 21%, so the air feels pretty dry. There is a bit of wind blowing at around 50 miles per hour. Enjoy your day. So we're getting that friendly vibe from it, and that is pretty easy to, that's pretty nice. All right, so let's go ahead and delete the simple memory database, and let's try this out still. What is I just want to show you what that context window looks like. What is the capital of, let's see here. Let's pick a state, Ohio. Okay, so it pulled it directly from Wikipedia. That was easy. Now I'm going to say, what is the weather? All right. So it did give me some weather information, but this information isn't going to be based on that location. So if I actually go to Google and I type in Columbus, Ohio weather, we can see that the current weather is cloudy with 35-degree Fahrenheit. And this is over here saying it's nice. It's a nice 68-degree Fahrenheit. So I think it's actually pulling based on my current location, not regarding the context of what we're talking about, which is Columbus, Ohio. So we'll add that simple memory back in. We'll hit save. We'll try this again. What is the capital of Ohio? All right, we got Columbus. What is the weather? Okay, I actually just realized what's going on here. So the temperature is still showing us 68 degrees, and the reason why is because if we go back to the edit fields in the last one, we still have it fixed for Denver. If I search the weather in Denver, it's saying 69 degrees, which makes sense why it's sending us this information as far as Denver, which is getting it confused. This is why it's important to remember the variables and not put fixed values, but I had to put a fixed value when we were building it out. So just keep these things in mind, just double check it. If something's not making sense, you got to go back through your workflow and troubleshoot, right? So what are we going to put here? We're going to go ahead and put the JSON dot query, and that should function. Let's go ahead and try that again. All right, let's try this again. All right, what is the weather in Columbus, Ohio? Let's see if this thing pulls back. Okay, so we're not able to pull that information. Something's broken inside of here. So we're going to go ahead and execute this step. Execute this step. What is, something's broken here. Okay, all right. So looks like I think it didn't like the last query I gave it, or the last question I gave it, because probably I didn't put a question mark and wasn't really specific. Okay, so I tried it again and it said, what is the weather like in Hawaii? This is again after me just updating this field here. So what is the weather like in Hawaii? I don't even spell that right. Hawaii today features few clouds with warm temperature about 79 degrees. All right, great. What is the weather? Now, I just want to test to see if it's actually working, so I'm going to give it another location in Tokyo. Give it another example. Tokyo is clear and sunny with a temperature of about 50 degrees. Okay, so it does look like it's working now. Okay, and so we'll just give it one more. What is the weather like in Miami? Just to triple check. Yeah, okay, so we're getting 3 different temperatures and 3 different pieces of information regarding humidity and winds and all that stuff. So yes, we are good to go. This is working correctly. And that is it, guys. That is going to be how you set this thing up, right? So one thing that's pretty cool here, I'll just kind of add to this, is this is me building an AI agent within n8n. So I can interact with it using the chat feature within n8n. And I'm getting responses within n8ns. Everything is within here. But you and I both know that real-world applications are going to expand beyond n8n. We're going to be needing to apply something like this in a real world, right? So let's say that we wanted to engage with this AI agent through Slack. Well, what you would do is you would want to replace this trigger with Slack instead. So, and I'm not going to go through the whole process because, you know, we're pretty much already at 25 minutes. So, but what you could do is you could say something like send a message. So something like this one right here, send the message. And through, you know, once you've configured it, you connected the API and everything, you selected which channels you want to be able to engage with the AI agent from. Then you can go into Slack and actually test this out and make sure that it is sending the correct communication to the AI agent. And then on the back end over here, so for the response that you're receiving back, you would say Slack again, and then you want to be able to send the message. So message action, send the message, and it will send a response back to the channel in which you're communicating it with. And then it will provide the exact same information that we got down here. So exactly what we got right there, right? And you can play with this a ton. You know, like you can play with the AI agent itself. Like you can add like a system message. You know, by default, it's going to be your helpful assistant, but we can say you are a expert weather professional. You have the ability to get real-time weather information from anywhere in the world. Right? And so then we can save that. And when I engage with this again, or if you're engaging it within Slack or Telegram or WhatsApp or whatever, wherever you're going to plug your AI agent into, it will, you know, give you the responses and it'll act accordingly based on the prompts that you provided. So we'll just throw one more in there. What is the capital of Wyoming? Okay. So it's saying Cheyenne is the capital of Wyoming. And then I can say, great, what is the weather like? Okay, and then it went ahead and gave me that information. The weather in Cheyenne, Wyoming is nice and clear with sunshine. Temperature is around 64 degrees. So there you have it. That is how you build a simple AI agent. Took us about 30 minutes or so to put this whole thing together. And I showed you a couple of troubleshooting tips that you need to keep in mind as you're doing this. Troubleshooting tips are going to be applicable to all different types of projects you're doing, not just this one. So just keep that in mind when you're working with any type of AI agent or any type of workflow. You want to build out your workflow and then kind of double check your work. If things aren't working right or they don't seem like the responses you should be getting, just double check the values, make sure that you put in dynamic information where you need to, the variables, and not just static values like Denver, Colorado, like what I put in there. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if you got questions down in the comments below. And if you are looking for the actual templates for this, I give them out for free inside of my school community, my free school community. Link is down in the description. Go ahead and find it, and I'll talk to you guys soon.